Welcome to Slash Bash, where today I am bringing you another proRevenge Reddit video. In our first story, Project Skunk, an engineer's tale. Let's jump right in. Okay, originally this was posted over an r/RBI, and they suggested a longer version would go well here, so here goes. I hope you enjoy it. Decades ago, I worked the worst crap job of my life as a software engineer, writing code for an OBD2 car code scanner at a completely dysfunctional business I'm not going to name, but I'll drop a hint and say all their products are all orange. An OBD2 scanner allows you or your mechanic to access vehicle data. Once connected to your car, it can show you essential information such as your vehicle's VIN number, your car's speed, fuel efficiency, and engine RPM. It was right after 9/11. I was laid off and jobs were nearly impossible to find, but I managed to land one there, and out of desperation I took the job. And there I met probably the best friend I ever made at work. I'll call him Agent S. Agent S was a coder's coder, a real laid-back guy and an all-around good egg. Imagine if the dude could code, you'd pretty much have Agent S. We had many wonderful overlong lunches working there. And I needed the calm he taught me because that place was nuts. All the departments poisonously hated each other. The head of engineering was as paranoid as a Russian czar, rampant abuse, theft, the works. A total madhouse. But eventually, everyone has their limit, and Agent S had put in his 2 weeks' notice. Just to let you know how nice he was the only person that quit that wasn't escorted to his car immediately by an armed guard, which was standard procedure. He was permitted to put in his last 2 weeks, so imagine my surprise when Agent S said, "I want some payback before I go." Maybe a few days earlier, the paranoid czar of engineering gave us this odd missive. When you leave your desk for any reason, you are to take your papers on your desk and lock them in your desk. You are also to lock your computer. You are to put a password in your BIOS and shut down your machine when you leave for the night. You are to erase your marker boards, leave no scrap of paper out or any hint of what you are working on. And no explanation why, which was standard for him, just do it. Of course, we all wanted to know why, so our man in the field, I'll call him Bond, went about finding out. Bond was social and likable and had friends in every department in the increasingly balkanized organizational structure. I'll ask around and don't tell anybody. He found out. Engineering czar got word somehow that people in the sales department were working late and waiting for engineering to leave. Once we left, they were going through our desks and computers looking for clues as to what we were working on. They would then copy this stuff down, claim it as a project I'm heading up, and present the material to their superiors so they could look valuable and get raises and all that fun sales stuff. Yes, I know, sales is supposed to query their customers for features they'd like, then make proposals to engineering. I did say this place is dysfunctional, right? Engineers drove the product design since sales couldn't be bothered. And why should they, when they could just steal it instead, right? So Agent S had enough. We made Project Skunk. All projects in this place were named after an animal. We decided to leave a hint in the name that all was not as it should be, and we dreamed up the most amazing OBD2 scanner in the world. Here are some of the specs. Since everyone knows 32-bit processors are more expensive than 8-bit processors, we would save money by using a 2-bit processor. The EEPROMs, read-only memory, that held the automobile database were expensive as well, so to save space, we would use zip to compress the database 12 times and store it on a single 4K EEPROM. Predictive analysis: if you enter in the last few codes your car threw, it would extrapolate and tell you the next part on your car that was going to break. I thought of this one, I'm especially proud of it, and so on. We spent a happy afternoon drawing up box diagrams with flux capacitors and n-dimensional grommets and yo-yo-dyne compensators, lots of specs and analyses and other assorted bits of utter nonsense. We scattered them all over Agent S's desk, then went home. The very next day, our man in the field, Bond, gives us the news. Project Skunk is a hit. The entire building is buzzing over it. Salespeople are tripping over each other, taking credit. It took about a week before the stolen goods were finally passed upstream to the six-figure guys before someone with half a clue noticed that everything in the project was absolute flipping impossible. Agent S had left by then, but I tracked him down and we had lunch and I told him the results of the ill harvest he had left behind. Sales had been seriously embarrassed in front of their superiors and the ones over them as well. I don't know if anything came of it. It was an old boys network there, and I'm sure they covered for each other somehow, but they were embarrassed and they were hurt. How do I know? Every day from that day on, anytime a person from sales passed me in the hallway or something, they would physically turn their face from me to shun me. It was hilarious. Like somehow I'm the butthole for making fake stuff for them to steal? The company went under not too long after that. The building is now a medical company supplying COVID masks. Story number 2. The keys are in that box. First off, I would like to say this is my father's revenge and not mine, but it was one of his best. A little backstory to get you caught up. My father was a welder at a pulp and paper mill on maintenance with a union. There were around 500 people who worked here at the time, mid to late 80s. On my dad's crew, there was a man they called Squirrel, because he would take anything small enough to carry and take it home. Some of the things were specialized tools made for a certain machine and they would have to be ordered in again at the company's expense. I guess there wasn't much the mill could do because somehow the union backed him. It wasn't long before my father's tools started going missing. He knew where to look and found them in Squirrel's toolbox and some scattered on his workbench. Squirrel was an average-sized man, around 5'9" to 5'10", but my father was a huge man standing at 6 foot 5 inches and around 250 pounds, so Squirrel didn't say a word. He was too scared to. My father reported this to the union rep and the main office and was told they would investigate. Squirrel was given a 1-week paid suspension while the investigation went on. They found many of the missing things in his locker, lunchbox, toolbox, etc. Somehow he got the union to back him again and was allowed to come back to work at the end of his suspension. Before Squirrel returned, my father grabbed his mobile welder and went into Squirrel's area and welded together a giant metal box. He took everything he could identify as Squirrel's and put it in the box and welded a top on it. He said he used 5/8 stainless to make it out of. He then got the help of one of his work buddies to lift the box and Dad welded it to the bottom of the I-beam on the ceiling, about 20 feet in the air. The day Squirrel came back, he was looking for all of his things but couldn't find any at all. He asked everyone he could, but no one said a word except, "I take care of my tools, maybe you should take better care of yours." This went on for a couple of hours until Squirrel went into the main office to complain, saying someone stole everything of his. The shop steward and Squirrel walked into the maintenance shop to ask the people in there where his things were. Dad stood up and walked up close, and knowing him, he was towering over Squirrel and said something along the lines of, "Squirrels like to climb to store their stuff. Are you sure you didn't climb the I-beam and put your stuff up there?" I guess the look of "oh flip" on the shop steward's face was almost too good, but the look of pure horror on Squirrel's face was my dad's favorite part of this story. He would laugh just as hard at every telling when he got to this part. Squirrel went into his work area and looked up. He saw the box up there. He tried to get anyone's help to get it down, but everyone seemed to have important things to do and can't at the moment. Squirrel took a day and a half working alone to get his things from the box and to remove the box from where it was welded. My father said not a thing ever went missing again, and Squirrel worked there another 10 years or more until the mill was shut down. I can say I believe him because one night at his place I got drunk and was thinking about going home. My father went to the basement and made a little box and welded my keys in it. I got them back the next day. I miss my father and his stories. I hope this qualifies as pro. This is John from /bash. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and want to be the first to know when the next one drops, subscribe and make sure you click on the notifications bell so that YouTube will show them to you. We'd love for you to drop a like, share it with your friends, and we will see you in the next one.